Drawing, it's hard. Drawing for a year, that's hard. And today I'm gonna show you how I went from this to this and everything in between. And trust me, that's some pretty cool stuff. So about a year ago, I decided to pick up drawing and actually learn how to do it. Before that, I was just mindlessly creating some of my own classics, such as this. But I mean, I always liked drawing. When I was young, I drew everything and anything from my imagination. But I grew up being taught that art was a waste of time. And I believed that for a really, really long time until I grew up. I started to realize that my own nature is about creating. So that's when I realized that I was kind of going against my own nature. And so instead of going against it, I embraced it. So that's why I started the 30-day drawing challenge. I was initially inspired by PewDiePie and his 30-day drawing challenge, and I found that the joy and excitement that he was showing during the challenge to be something that reminded me of my childhood. And so I started. If you didn't know already, I actually made a video called I Drew for 30 Days and I Failed. Crazy how I found 30 days of drawing to be hard. But to save you some time, here are some of the drawings I made. All right, so here is day one. This is wow. Here is day two. My attempt at trying to copy draw, and then we'll just quickly go through this book. My own attempt at drawing. Jesus Christ. And then I stopped drawing in this book, and here we go. Started drawing in an actual sketchbook. So I drew something like this as the front cover. I tried really hard. I think I spent hours on this one. Here's my own attempt at trying to draw a girl. She has very broad shoulders. She looks like she could beat me up. Here's another attempt at me trying to draw random girl looking out at something. Wonder what that something is. And finally, this is the day 30 drawing. So finally being able to get over that 30-day drawing challenge, I kind of realized something. Art wasn't just really fun for me. It was something I really wanted to get better at. So going to this challenge, I thought to myself that if I did 30 days and I improved this much, then surely if I did 365 days, then I'm going to improve like crazy. I'm going to be one of the art gods. And soon I would come to realize this challenge wasn't going to be as simple as it seemed to be. So let's start from the very beginning. All right, let's get started on the book that was after the 30-day challenge, which was this one. And I drew Gojo. And again, I'm just drawing what I see. I'm drawing and copying as best as I can. Oh yeah, even more Gojo. And before I knew it, I wanted to start to learn how to draw on my own imagination, my own terms. I picked up some tutorials, how to construct a face. And as a result, my first attempt at trying to draw something from my imagination during this entire journey came a lot quicker than I thought. But yeah, you can see that I actually started to try to understand how to draw. When I did try to choppy draw, I tried really hard on these. And I took notes. I tried to take notes. I tried to be very methodical and try to actually engage in what I was trying to copy. And so honestly, this was really good practice. It was really good practice. And I was like, wow, I can't believe I drew this at day 50. This is one of my very first attempts of drawing something on my own. Wow. This was free-handed, so no references. It was very hard. At least I was giving it a go. I'm proud that I tried really hard, and I'm proud that I tried to give myself a challenge, even though I probably knew that I wasn't probably going to execute on it. So the frustration I felt from the completely ass drawing I just showed you, I started to switch gears and try some new tactic. I like to call it trying to draw the same character over and over again until I can draw them perfectly. So here are some drawings I made. Here's Freerin, trying really hard to draw Freerin in a very difficult perspective. What a great drawing, huh? I honestly really like this even now. More Freerin. Okay, can you guys tell who my favorite character is? Even more Freerin drawings. That one's not bad, honestly. Yours are humongous though. Jesus. Here's my day 55 drawing. I don't know what I'm drawing here, but yeah, guys, this is a ridiculous amount of Freerin. Wow, let's not look at that. Okay, but yeah, here is day 60. So in 60 days, so 2 months, I was able to draw this, and I think not bad. I can't believe I made this because, all right, here's a side-by-side comparison, right? So here's my day 60 drawing. Here's day 1, all right? Day 1 was a copy draw, and honestly, because of that, it gets a 9 out of 10. Okay, not 9 out of 10. Hey, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. When did I start rating things? After that, I feel like I was just on a roll because every drawing after another, I felt like I was just making the best drawing I was able to make at the time. You know, the proportions were coming together and the drawings looked like someone who had been practicing. And I wasn't really looking at references for some of them either. This is me attempting to draw my own pose, and it's really hard. A lot of things to work on, obviously, but still great that I'm trying, you know? And then I get to day 100. Woohoo! Here's a lot of persona stuff. Persona again. Here I drew my friend. I think I bought a bunch of pens here and then tried to color them in to try things out. But so more drawings, more girls. Ooh, I like her pink eyes. Kind of cute. I think this is my own drawing, if I'm not wrong. I don't think I copied from anybody here. This is kind of inspired from a style from this really cool artist on Twitter that I like. Their name is Null. I'll put up a picture here so you guys can see what their artwork looks like. I'm pretty sure I just watched an episode of Free Run today and it had this exact scene, which is crazy. Here's a drawing I made of my friend. It looks pretty cool. And drawings I made of all my friends. And we reached the end of my sketchbook, and it's just a bunch of random drawings on Pinterest slammed together. Honestly, I feel like at this point I was peaking because I was making drawings that I didn't hate all the time. And it was a great feeling, and I absolutely loved it. And so by this point, I was about 150 days in, so just about the halfway point. And things were just going so well. Then it didn't. All of a sudden, I felt like I forgot to draw. All of a sudden, everything I was making, I hated. And I think when you look back at some of these drawings, you can tell that I wasn't using any references. You can see here, like, I barely drew much, if anything at all. This is barely an effort, to be honest. Here, I didn't even draw the face. I just forgot, I guess. There were some good ones, though, like, you know, this is Persona one that I think it's actually not bad looking back on it. I think I was really frustrated with it before. I think this was a reference drawing, but I don't remember. But it probably was. Here is Horimiya. More Horimiya. This is one of the last few good drawings I think I did before I started crashing. I feel like this was my own drawing of Hori. Here's another drawing that I tried. A little bit harder. But you know what? It's not bad. I wouldn't even call this a drawing because like I've drawn 2 stickmen. I've drawn like what? 1, 2, 3, 4 stickmen. Tried to draw a face, gave up. Tried to draw whatever this is, gave up. I guess here I decided to draw boxes, people, try to understand anatomy, perspective, and volume, shapes. Again, I don't think I'm approaching it quite right. You know, it doesn't really help me to just copy things I see on Pinterest here in this sense. I had to understand shapes. Like I had to understand how to draw shapes, especially in perspective. But here I wasn't really doing that, you know? This is just, I don't know. It's like I forgot to draw. It's crazy. Like when I kept comparing my old drawings from 100 days ago and I just look at this and I'm like, what happened? And I kept getting frustrated, you know? Like, and I stopped looking forward to actually making stuff. At some point, it just became a habit to get through, like a daily routine, like how you brush your teeth. That's just how I ended up kind of seeing things in the end. It went from a drawing to a doodle to barely a line. And I think it was at this point in time, the halfway point, where things really started to slip. I stopped thinking deeply about the things that I was trying to reference, and in fact, I actually just stopped using references in general, which is really bad. I drew things without references and tried to be something that I wasn't. When I look back, I feel like it was all the ego that I got from all the good drawings that I was able to make. Yeah, I just kept drawing in pen, and it's a lot harder than it looks, guys, drawing in pen. And you don't have the option to erase any of this. It's permanent. Oh my... Now my true skill is starting to show. Became a furry for one day. And eventually I gave up and I just started drawing pencil again. So that didn't last very long. Here I learned about contrapposto. Actually very useful. It's basically difference in angles with your shoulders and hips. And that somehow making it look aesthetically pleasing. I drew Jet, and then I drew my own thing. I thought this was actually quite cute, the hair and everything. At this point, you can definitely tell not enjoying the process even more. And at this point, we're at like day 262. This went on for a really long time. This is over nearly 100 days, me barely drawing much. This phase in my drawing journey really lasted a long time. And yeah, I mean, there were moments that I felt like there was a sparkle, but those were short-lived. In the end, this drawing challenge turned into a drawing routine. It turned into mindless work. And I feel like 1,000 hours of mindless work is less valuable than just 1 hour of great deep thinking, because there was just no thinking in the process. There was just no passion to strive for more. It was just something to get over, and I feel like that really stunted my growth. And this may come to no surprise to anyone, but eventually I dropped it. And when I moved back from Japan to Australia, I looked at my sketchbook that I was working on and I said, you know what? It's just one day. Then one day became 1 week. 1 week became 2. And at the time, I was feeling almost free from the obligation that I had put on myself with this drawing challenge. And it wasn't like I was unaware of the lack of effort I was putting into this challenge at this point. It was poor effort, and I knew that. And that made me feel even worse about drawing. It was like this self-fulfilling cycle. And I just felt like I had to end it, or else I feel like I would have ended up hating it even more. But as time passed, I felt awful, like I was running away. I mean, it's the only way you can really put it. I think maybe it was because I realized naturally if I wanted to go beyond the drawings that I was able to make, the good ones, I would have to put in so much more effort. I think I realized the mountain to climb to that point that I wanted to get at was indescribable. I think the biggest thing I had felt during this time when I stopped was the freedom of the pressure that I had been putting on myself. It was like I had expected myself to always be making a masterpiece one after another. Otherwise, it wasn't good enough. It had to be that way or I wasn't doing anything right. Basically, my expectations just went through the roof after I started making stuff that looked actually good. But then when I kept expecting more and more and more, I crashed. And it just wasn't a healthy mindset to be having, especially when it comes to drawing. But even if I did feel that way, even if I did hate the drawings that I had been making, even though I have found myself doing the bare minimum, I still couldn't stop thinking about drawing. Without thinking about it too much, I just got back into it. This time, with a different perspective. Here's when things started to pick up again. I watched this anime. I don't remember what it's called, but someone can remind me what it's called in the comments. All right, so here I get into One Piece. Actually, I feel like now, looking back on this, I feel like I'm taking you through my diary at this point. Like all the things I'm getting into, all the things I like, I just ended up drawing them in this sketchbook. Like here at this point in time, day 89, I started getting into One Piece. Here's Laboon. We love Laboon. I would recommend it, guys. I started watching One Piece last year and it was the greatest decision of my life. I'm currently on episode 700 something. I just finished the Dressrosa arc. If you know, you know. I'm sure some of you guys can recognize this epic scene. Here's something I drew by myself. It was really hard, so I never finished it. Who remembers this? Holy crap. Flashback to the past. Black Rock Shooter. Here I drew the best opening known to mankind. Freaking love this opening, man. I think this is like the most catchiest opening I've ever listened to. And I love the opening animation as well. Man, hey guys. Here I drew Gold D. Roger. What do you guys think? Not bad, huh? I don't know if this is from Pinterest or not. I don't know. Can't even remember if I drew that or somebody else did. So here's the final drawing I did in this sketchbook. I guess right before I started to kind of wake up and start changing things. Here is the start of the sketchbook. And here I'm still just drawing from references. So I thought maybe if I tried to take away from an artist, maybe I'd improve. So that's why I did a lot of Inio Asano. One thing I struggled a lot with was eyes, especially eyes in perspective is very difficult. So I did a lot of eyes, but eventually it just wasn't sticking and I felt like I wasn't learning as much as I thought I was. For some reason I draw like a Kung Fu Panda falling from the sky. I don't know what I'm doing, to be honest, but I feel like I haven't found the answer that I was looking for yet at this point, you know. I felt like I was falling back into the same habits that I had been doing before, and slowly I started to dislike it again. So going back into it, I was a bit lost. I mean, when you've taken a break for so long, where do you even start? Do I just draw? No, I looked back and actually asked myself, what do I want to do? What is the thing that makes me want to draw? And the answer was character design. So once I had this goal, then I asked myself again, how am I gonna reach this goal? I think these are very, very important questions to be asking yourself. As simple as they may be, is it to draw other characters more? Do I just draw from imagination more? Well, based on my experience and other people's advice, the answer is fundamentals. So that's what I did. I just went back to square one. What are shapes? What are forms? And I basically continued this path of just learning about fundamentals, trying to understand the building blocks of art. Because if you don't have that, you can't
give yourself the freedom to actually do what you want to do. So do what people have already done, do it well, and then do it your way. I think that's a really great way to learn art, in my opinion. I think for me, I just wanted the freedom to be able to put whatever I wanted on that page. And in order to get to that place, in order to get from point A to point B, I needed the fundamentals. There is just no going around that. I can't just guess my lines every time and hope that somehow one day, maybe after 100 drawings, I get it right. It's just not time efficient. It just logically, that doesn't make sense.
So here's me doing a lot of fundamental artwork practice. You can see here there's a lot of gesture drawing. These are one of my first gesture drawings that I've ever done. I kind of strayed away from doing any kind of stylized drawing and worked towards drawing real life, trying to get the poses and the feeling, the flow. And I noticed such a big difference in my drawings, even after just a bit of practice of the fundamentals. I think it's important to remind you guys that it's okay to do what you like. Just remember that fundamentals are just as important, and even if they may be boring, I think it's good to have a balance of both. That's all. This right here is one of my favorite drawings I've made during my fundamentals practice. I think it really captures the weight of a person really well, and I feel like I just captured the movement really well here.
So where did that all get me, right? Fundamentals are good and all, and I can practice learning and drawing circles every single day, and maybe I'll become Picasso. But don't do that every day and not make something. Don't get stuck in practice hell. That's like kicking a ball against the wall and expecting to be Ronaldo in some years. That's not gonna happen, or at the very least, probably not gonna happen. To be really great, you gotta apply what you learn. I'm sure you learned this at school, at uni, at work, hopefully, but you gotta apply what you learn. If you just do all the basics, all the fundamentals, you don't put them together to use like in a math equation, maybe, you're not gonna get very far. And a great way I approached this was to give myself projects. So what I did was I labeled every single idea that I thought could have been cool as an artwork, and I numbered each and every single one of them. And once I numbered each of them, I put them all in a spin wheel, and I spun the wheel. Whichever number it landed on, I committed myself to that project. So let me show you what those look like.
Here's the list of artworks I gave myself as project ideas. Here's the Mori one I made. It's a two-piece artwork, and I think it's really cool. And this is the kind of stuff I really want to encourage people to do when they're trying out art, is to make pieces and not be afraid of actually trying to do something like this. The other one pertained to my desire to make character designs. And so I made this. This is my own first original character that I made. My whole idea behind this character is that he's a cheeky mage, and that's it. I didn't want to complicate things. I didn't want to make a full-blown story. I just wanted to make a fun original character. And this is my fun original character. It's inspired by a lot of things. And I wonder if you guys can really see the inspiration. But here on this page, it's a little bit hard to see, but you can see that I'm kind of thinking and ideating. And the ideating part is just the most fun, in my opinion. So yeah, I would recommend doing projects, guys. If you can, think of a fun idea, do it, you know? Don't be afraid to try new things and make some cool artwork. So yeah, that was my 1-year art journey. And if there's anything to take away from this video, it's probably that there's just no one trick that's going to suddenly make you a great artist. Drawing every day definitely taught me a lot. There were times where I feel like I could do anything, but then there were also times where I felt like I hit the end of the road too. But I'm glad that I chose to draw every day, because it let me find out what exactly about art I like. And some of you might be wondering if I'm going to continue this journey. Oh yeah, I am, of course. And I think I absolutely have a long way to go. There's always room for improvement. I think more than anything, I'm just glad that I'm having fun with something that I am genuinely passionate about. And I hope this video also inspires you to challenge yourself too. It doesn't have to be drawing. It can be anything that remotely interests you. But yeah, it was fun. I'm glad that I did the challenge. I'm kind of sad that it's over. But yeah, I hope you guys learned something from this 20-minute spiel of me basically talking about random stuff that I like to do. And also thanks to PewDiePie for inspiring this video, inspiring this journey. And hopefully that continues on with you guys too. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.